The morning sun rises over my 5 acres of farmland, casting long golden shadows across rows of vegetables I have carefully tended since dawn. My hands work the soil with practiced efficiency. Some habits from military service never fade, even 3 years into retirement. The precision, the discipline, the early mornings. I pause to wipe sweat from my brow and survey what I have built here since leaving the Navy. Commander Sarah Mitchell no longer exists, just Sarah now, mother of two, farmer, civilian. My son Jason calls from the chicken coop, his voice carrying across the property. Mom, come look at what Sophia found. At 15, Jason has adapted to farm life with surprising enthusiasm. His 13-year-old sister crouches nearby, cradling something in her hands. I make my way over, boots crunching on the gravel path that winds between garden beds. Sophia looks up, face bright with excitement. The speckled hen laid her first egg, she announces proudly, holding up a small brown egg as if displaying treasure. This moment, this simple joy, this is why I bought this farm after leaving 20 years of naval service, after deployments that took me away from my children for months at a time, after the divorce that followed when their father decided military life had become too difficult, after commanding hundreds of personnel through operations that most civilians will never know about. After all that, this small miracle of an egg represents everything I fought to protect. The farmhouse behind us is modest but sturdy, over 100 years old according to county records. White paint peels slightly from the wooden siding, a project for the coming summer. A tire swing hangs from the ancient oak tree. Laundry flutters on the line strung between posts. Nothing fancy, nothing excessive, but everything essential. Beyond our northern property line lies Oak Ridge Estates, a development of pristine homes with manicured lawns that seem to repel even fallen leaves. I notice Mrs. Keller walking her poodle along the road that separates our properties. She waves, and I return the gesture. Most neighbors have been welcoming since we arrived. They seem fascinated by the chickens and the vegetable garden. Some even purchase eggs and produce from our small roadside stand. Is that enough tomatoes for the sauce tonight? Sophia asks, following my gaze toward the garden. More than enough, I reply. We can bring the extra to the Johnsons. Mr. Johnson mentioned his wife is still recovering from surgery. This is what matters now, teaching my children generosity, showing them how to live close to the land, giving them stability after years of moving between naval bases. The decision to retire had not come easily, but when my cousin left me this small inheritance, I knew it was time. My children deserved roots. They deserved to know where they would wake up each morning. After dinner, I sit on the porch steps watching Sophia and Jason chase fireflies across the yard. The sunset paints Oak Ridge Estates in warm hues, making even the identical rooflines look almost charming. Music drifts from the community center where they hold regular gatherings. I have received polite invitations but always declined. My world has become deliberately smaller, focused on what truly matters. I do not yet realize that my modest farmhouse and working agricultural property have become subjects of growing concern to the Oak Ridge Homeowners Association leadership. I do not see how my clothesline and chicken coop stand in stark contrast to their vision. I remain blissfully unaware of the gathering storm as I call my children inside for bed. The farm represents my hard-won peace after years of military discipline and sacrifice. A sanctuary I am determined to preserve. The manila envelope sits unopened on my kitchen counter all morning. No return address, just my name typed formally, Sarah Mitchell. I finally open it while waiting for water to boil for tea. The letterhead catches my attention immediately. Oak Ridge Estates Homeowners Association. The contents make my stomach tight in a way I have not felt since combat situations. 17 violations. Improper livestock housing, unapproved agricultural activity, non-compliant exterior aesthetics, unauthorized structures, each listed with corresponding fines totaling over $3,000. Compliance demanded within 30 days. The letter concludes with a threat of legal action if requirements are not met. This makes no sense. My property predates Oak Ridge Estates by decades. The farm sits outside their boundary lines according to every county record. I check the address on the letter again, confirming they are indeed targeting my property. Movement outside the kitchen window catches my eye. Two men in blazers stand at the edge of my property, photographing my chicken coop and garden. One points toward the clothesline while the other nods and writes something in a notebook. I step outside, closing the door carefully behind me. Years of command experience have taught me to approach confrontation with calm authority. "Gentlemen, can I help you with something?" My voice carries across the yard, causing both men to turn. The taller one adjusts his tie before speaking. "Just conducting a standard compliance inspection, ma'am." "Compliance with what exactly?" I ask, closing the distance between us. "And who are you?" "Robert Daniels, Oak Ridge Estates HOA Compliance Officer." He gestures to his companion. "This is Thomas Weber, also with compliance. Your property has several code violations that need addressing." I hold up the letter I have just opened. "I assume this is your work. You are aware my property is not part of Oak Ridge Estates, correct?" Robert smiles in a way that does not reach his eyes. "Actually, according to recent boundary adjustments approved by the board, your property falls within our jurisdiction now. These violations are quite serious. The chicken coop alone violates 3 separate ordinances." My military training helps me maintain an outward calm, but inside I am seething. I would like to see documentation of these boundary adjustments. My deed and county records indicate otherwise. "All the documentation was included with previous notices," Thomas interjects. "This is your final warning before enforcement action begins." Previous notices. I have received nothing prior to this letter. "We have record of 3 prior notifications," Robert says, checking his clipboard. "Now if you will excuse us, we need to complete our inspection." "You are currently trespassing on private property," I inform them, my voice dropping to the tone that once made new recruits stand at attention. "Please leave immediately." They exchange glances before retreating to a black SUV parked on the road. As they drive away, I notice the Oak Ridge Estates security logo emblazoned on the vehicle door. Something is very wrong here. That evening, after putting Jason and Sophia to bed with reassurances that everything is fine, I spread county documents across my dining table. Property surveys, deed records, tax assessments, all confirm what I already knew. My farm remains independent of HOA jurisdiction. Yet according to the letter, I am suddenly subject to their rules. Further research online reveals a recent proposal filed by the HOA board, specifically by President Victoria Harrington. The documents seek to redraw community boundaries to include several outlying properties, including mine. The proposal sits pending with county officials but has not been approved. They are acting as if it already has legal standing. A search of Victoria Harrington reveals she previously worked as a real estate developer specializing in luxury planned communities. Several news articles mention controversies around her aggressive expansion tactics. The implications become clear as midnight approaches. This is not about clotheslines or chicken coops. This is a calculated land grab threatening everything I have built for my family. My farm stands in the way of their perfect community image and potential expansion. I am still at the table when headlights sweep across my front windows. An SUV with the now familiar HOA Logo parks at my property edge. Two men emerge and quickly hammer a sign into my front yard before driving away. I grab a flashlight and find a notice declaring multiple violations and pending fines. Bold red letters announce notice of non-compliance. The military strategist in me recognizes the pattern. This is not random harassment. This is a coordinated campaign designed to pressure me into compliance or force me to sell. They have no idea who they are targeting. I may have left my uniform behind, but I have not forgotten how to defend what matters. The second round of violation notices arrives exactly 1 week later. The fines have doubled. The tone has hardened. My property now allegedly violates 23 HOA codes, many newly created according to the attached meeting minutes. The letter threatens legal action within 14 days if violations are not addressed. A separate document details a special assessment against my property for community boundary enforcement, totaling nearly $5,000. I cannot ignore this any longer. The monthly HOA meeting is scheduled for tonight according to their website. Though not technically a member, I intend to address these false claims directly. I arrange for Mrs. Johnson to watch Jason and Sophia, telling them I have a meeting about farm business. No need to worry them yet. The Oak Ridge Community Center gleams with fresh paint and expensive landscaping. Luxury vehicles fill the parking lot. I feel conspicuous in my practical truck with mud still clinging to the wheel wells. Inside, residents in business casual attire mingle before the meeting. Conversations pause as I enter, then resume in hushed tones. I recognize several. Neighbors who have purchased produce from my stand. They avoid eye contact now. The meeting room features theater-style seating facing a raised platform where board members arrange papers. A striking woman in her 50s, blonde hair pulled into a severe bun, takes the center seat. Even without introduction, I know this must be Victoria Harrington. Her posture and controlled movements speak of someone accustomed to authority. She surveys the room like a general reviewing troops. "Let us begin," Victoria announces, tapping a gavel. The room quiets immediately. She moves efficiently through agenda items, barely pausing for token votes from the board members who flank her. When she reaches community boundary enforcement, I straighten in my seat. "Our efforts to standardize neighborhood aesthetics continue," Victoria states. "Properties recently incorporated into our jurisdiction are being brought into compliance." Her gaze sweeps the room. Some resistance has been encountered, but our legal team assures me we are on solid ground. During the public comment period, I approach the microphone. My military bearing returns automatically. Back straight, shoulders squared, voice steady. "My name is Sarah Mitchell. I own the farm property north of Oak Ridge Estates." Murmurs ripple through the audience. Victoria continues reviewing documents on her tablet, not looking up. "I have received multiple violation notices and fines despite my property legally existing outside HOA jurisdiction. The boundary adjustment referenced in these notices has not been approved by county officials." I present copies of my property survey and county records. These documents confirm my farm predates Oak Ridge Estates and remains independent of your authority. I request immediate cessation of harassment and withdrawal of all invalid notices. Victoria finally looks up, her expression one of practiced boredom. She does not take the documents I offer. "The board appreciates your concern, Ms. Mitchell, but these matters have already been settled. Your property affects the value and aesthetic standards of our community." "But the county has not approved any boundary change," I press. "You have no legal standing to." Victoria interrupts with a dismissive laugh that echoes through the room. "We have unanimous board approval and resident support. The county paperwork is merely a formality. She checks her watch. Now, if there are no further comments, we need to vote on the new landscaping ordinances. The meeting continues as if I have not spoken. When Victoria calls for a vote on new measures specifically targeting agricultural eyesores visible from community properties, all board members raise their hands in automatic agreement. The meeting adjourns shortly after. Walking to my truck afterward, I notice HOA security vehicles now stationed at my road entrance. The guards watch me pass, making no attempt to hide their scrutiny. The message is clear. I am being monitored. 2 days later, Sophia's scream wakes me before dawn. I find her in the garden staring at destruction. Irrigation lines cut, seedlings trampled, the greenhouse plastic slashed. Her 4-H project for the county fair lies in ruins. "Who would do this?" she cries as I pull her close. Jason joins us, surveying the damage with clenched fists. "The HOA people," he says with certainty. "I saw their car driving away last night around midnight. I thought they were just patrolling." I comfort my daughter while mentally calculating repair costs. This is not random vandalism. This is calculated destruction targeting our livelihood and my children's hard work. The commander who once directed naval operations now finds herself defending a different kind of territory, with stakes equally high in her eyes. That afternoon, HOA security vehicles park at my property line. Guards photograph every angle of my farm. When Jason and Sophia return from school, the guards train their cameras on my children. One guard steps onto my property to photograph the damaged greenhouse up close. When I confront him, he claims to be documenting noncompliance issues. This has gone beyond harassment. This has become personal. Victoria Harrington has escalated hostilities without understanding her opponent. She has made a critical error in judgment. She has threatened what I value most. The military strategist in me recognizes the need for a tactical response. The spare bedroom transforms overnight into an operations center reminiscent of my military command posts. Maps of property lines cover one wall, county zoning regulations another. I establish a timeline of HOA encounters, documenting each interaction with military precision. Jason helps me install a bulletin board where we pin photographs of every violation notice, every trespassing incident. "This looks like your office on the base," he observes, referring to the few times he visited my command center years ago. "Similar principles apply," I explain. "Know your terrain, understand your adversary, document everything." I begin searching public records for information about Victoria Harrington and the Oak Ridge HOA board. County property records yield the first significant intelligence. Victoria serves on the board of Platinum Development Group, the same company that has been purchasing agricultural properties throughout the county for a planned luxury community expansion. 3 nearby farms have sold in the past year, all now bulldozed for construction. The conflict of interest is glaring and undisclosed in any HOA documentation. Further research reveals a pattern. Homeowners near development targets report similar harassment campaigns, sudden boundary adjustments, excessive fines, intimidation, most eventually sold under pressure. Victoria's development company then purchased the properties at below-market rates. I reach out to other affected homeowners, starting with names gathered from public records. The Richardson family sold their small orchard last year after months of HOA citations. Mrs. Gutierrez lost her plant nursery business following a lengthy legal battle she could not afford to continue. The pattern becomes clear. These are not isolated incidents but a systematic campaign. My naval career provided me with valuable connections. I contact Lieutenant Jacob Torres, now an attorney specializing in property law. We served together during my second deployment. He agrees to review my documentation the following day. "This is systematic harassment, Commander," he confirms after examining my files, using my former rank instinctively. The title sounds strange now in my farmhouse kitchen, but they underestimated their opponent. This Harrington woman has overreached significantly. Jacob helps me draft formal response letters citing specific statutes and precedents. We file official complaints with the county recorder's office documenting the false boundary claims. He recommends security measures to protect my property and children. "Document everything," he advises. "Photos, videos, witness statements. Build your case methodically." I implement security cameras at strategic locations around my property that evening, placing them to monitor all potential entry points. Legal notices warning against trespassing appear along my fence line. Motion-activated lights illuminate previously dark corners of the property. The children help me reinforce the garden area. We repair irrigation lines and replant damaged crops. Sophia's expression remains determined as she carefully tends new seedlings. "They think they can scare us away," she says with unexpected fierceness. "But we are not leaving, right?" "Absolutely not," I assure her. "This is our home." That night I work late, reviewing county easement regulations and HOA legal limitations. I recognize Victoria's tactics from military psychological operations training: isolation, pressure, escalation, then acquisition when resistance crumbles. But resistance has not crumbled here. It has only hardened my resolve. I discover records of 3 other properties currently facing similar pressure from Oak Ridge Estates. All border potential development areas, all owned by single parents or elderly residents. Victoria targets those she perceives as vulnerable. She selected her objectives based on conventional assumptions about who would fight back. In that assumption, she made a critical error. The military strategist in me recognizes this is not a neighborhood dispute, but a calculated assault requiring tactical defense. Victoria Harrington has no idea she is engaging with someone trained to anticipate threats and neutralize them methodically. She believes she is bullying a single mother. In reality, she has declared war on a former naval commander. My children sleep soundly while I prepare countermeasures. Tomorrow, we move from defense to offense. Years of military service taught me that the best defense often requires strategic offensive action. Victoria believes I will eventually surrender under pressure like others before me. She is about to discover her miscalculation. The County Commission boardroom fills with the usual attendees for the monthly public meeting. Commissioners arrange papers at the elevated desk. Staff members organize presentation materials. Victoria Harrington sits in the front row with 2 HOA board members, reviewing documents and speaking in hushed tones. She does not notice me entering with Jacob and taking seats 3 rows behind her. When public comments begin, I approach the podium with a USB drive containing my evidence. The county clerk loads my presentation as I introduce myself. "My name is Sarah Mitchell. I own Mitchell Family Farm on County Road 16. My voice carries clearly through the room, prompting Victoria to turn sharply in her seat. Surprise registers briefly on her face before her expression returns to practice neutrality. The first slide displays property surveys contradicting HOA boundary claims. I am here to address unlawful harassment and fraudulent property claims being perpetrated by Oak Ridge Estates Homeowners Association against multiple property owners, including myself. I methodically present evidence of trespassing, documented with time-stamped photographs from my security cameras. HOA security personnel entering my property. Notices placed illegally. The damaged irrigation system. Each image appears on the projection screen with clinical precision. The HOA has issued multiple violation notices and fines despite having no legal jurisdiction over my property. I advance to documentation of Victoria's undisclosed financial interests. More concerning is the clear conflict of interest driving these actions. The commissioners exchange concerned glances as public records appear showing Victoria's position with Platinum Development Group, alongside a map of properties targeted for acquisition. Her connection to both entities remains undisclosed in any HOA or development documentation. Victoria stands abruptly. This is preposterous. Ms. Mitchell has repeatedly violated community standards that affect property values throughout. Ms. Harrington, please, the commission chair interrupts. You will have an opportunity to respond. Please allow Ms. Mitchell to complete her presentation. I continue with calm authority honed through years of military briefings. This is not about community standards. This is about forcing working farms out to increase property values for developers. I present a timeline correlating harassment campaigns with subsequent property acquisitions by Platinum Development Group. 3 families have already lost their properties following identical patterns of harassment. When I finish, Victoria approaches the podium, composure slightly fractured. These allegations are entirely false. The Oak Ridge HOA operates independently from any development interests. We simply maintain community standards that all residents agreed to upon purchase. Ms. Mitchell is not a resident of your community, Commissioner Alvarez points out. Her property clearly falls outside your boundaries according to county records. We have filed for boundary adjustments, Victoria insists, which have not been approved, Commissioner Alvarez counters. And given these allegations of harassment and conflict of interest, I move that we table any boundary adjustment requests pending investigation. The motion passes unanimously. Leaving the meeting, Jacob shakes my hand. First round to you, Commander, but expect retaliation. Victoria Harrington does not appear to surrender easily. His prediction proves accurate sooner than expected. The story appears in the county newspaper the following day. My phone rings constantly with calls from supportive neighbors and veterans groups offering assistance. The temporary victory feels significant until my phone buzzes with a call from Jason. Mom, his voice shakes uncharacteristically. HOA security is blocking us from reaching the bus stop. They say we are trespassing on HOA property. Sophia is crying. I grab my keys and documentation. Stay where you are. Do not engage with them. I am coming now. When I arrive, 2 security guards in Oak Ridge uniforms stand between my children and the bus stop. The school bus waits 100 yards away. Sophia clutches her backpack, tears streaming down her face. Jason stands protectively beside her. This sidewalk is HOA property, the guard informs me as I approach. Your children do not have permission to use it. This sidewalk is county property, I correct him, producing county easement documentation. And my children have used this bus stop for over 2 years. Our instructions come directly from the HOA president, the second guard states, unmoved by my documentation. I feel a familiar combat readiness surge through my body. Victoria has made a critical error by targeting my children. Your instructions are unlawful, I inform them calmly. Move aside immediately, or I will contact the sheriff and file harassment charges against you personally, not just the HOA. The guards hesitate, clearly unprepared for this level of opposition. Other parents arriving with their children watch the confrontation with concern. One begins recording with her phone. "This is not over," the first guard mutters, but they step aside, allowing my children to board the waiting bus. Victoria has crossed a line that transforms this property dispute into something far more personal. She has targeted my children, wrongly assuming this would pressure me into compliance. Instead, she has only strengthened my determination. The tactical response has now become a strategic campaign. That afternoon, Jacob delivers a formal cease and desist letter to the HOA board. Local news stations contact me requesting interviews about HOA harassment of a veteran single mother. Community members I have never met offer support on social media. The narrative has shifted dramatically. Victoria Harrington has seriously misjudged her opponent. She thought she was dealing with a vulnerable target who would crumble under systematic pressure. Instead, she has engaged with someone trained to convert tactical challenges into strategic advantages. Her attack on my children represents not just a moral failure, but a critical strategic error. The commander in me recognizes the turning point in this battle. The certified letter arrives on a Tuesday morning. Oak Ridge Estates Homeowners Association has filed legal action against me for multiple property violations and unpaid fines now totaling over $20,000. The document cites newly passed bylaws that supposedly apply to my farm despite county commissioners tabling the boundary adjustment request. Jacob reviews the legal filing with growing concern. "They are claiming your property was included in the original HOA territory according to founding documents from 15 years ago. This contradicts all current county records." "How is that possible?" I ask, scanning the attached evidence that appears to show boundary maps including my farm. "Someone has manipulated records," Jacob concludes. "We need to check the original documents at the county recorder's office." The visit to the county office confirms our suspicions. The boundary documents on file show clear alterations compared to the versions Victoria submitted with her legal filing. Someone has deliberately modified official records. The clerk promises to investigate and secure the originals from tampering. I return home after meeting with Jacob to discuss our counterfiling. As I turn onto my street, I notice 2 HOA security vehicles parked in my driveway. 3 men in uniforms are actively dismantling the wooden play structure my children helped build last summer. The security camera footage streams to my phone. They arrived 20 minutes ago with official-looking documents, claiming enforcement authority. My hands tighten on the steering wheel as I pull in, deliberately positioning my truck to block their exit. Sophia stands on the porch crying while Jason attempts to reason with the men. One guard films the confrontation on his phone. I approach with controlled fury, years of command presence evident in every step. "What exactly do you think you are doing on my property?" The lead guard brandishes a document. "This structure violates HOA Ordinance 15B regarding appropriate recreational equipment. We have authorization to remove non-compliant structures." I do not raise my voice. I do not need to. Years of commanding naval personnel have taught me that authority resides in composure, not volume. "You are currently trespassing on private property and destroying personal assets. Your documents have no legal standing here." "We have full enforcement authority," the guard insists, though uncertainty has crept into his tone. The other 2 guards exchange glances, clearly uncomfortable with the situation. "Let me be absolutely clear," I state, my voice dangerously calm. "I have documented your illegal entry. I have recorded your destruction of private property. I have a restraining order prohibiting HOA personnel from entering my land. I produce the court document, Jacob, obtained yesterday after the record tampering discovery. The lead guard scans the restraining order, his confidence visibly wavering. Ms. Harrington assured us this was legally authorized enforcement. Ms. Harrington has deliberately misled you, I inform him. This property is not under HOA jurisdiction, as confirmed by county commissioners last week. When they hesitate to leave, I add, perhaps I have not been clear. I served 20 years protecting American rights, including property rights. You have exactly 2 minutes to vacate my land before I contact the sheriff and my attorney. The mention of my military background causes visible recalculation. The guards whisper among themselves before the leader nods reluctantly. We will need to consult with HOA legal counsel. Do so from off my property, I direct them, and take nothing with you that belongs to my family. As they retreat to their vehicles, I notice Victoria Harrington watching from a black sedan parked across the street. Our eyes meet briefly. Her expression hardens before she drives away without confrontation. That evening, Sheriff Roberts arrives to take formal statements about the trespassing and property damage. His deputy photographs the partially dismantled play structure and reviews my security footage. This crosses the line from civil dispute to criminal trespass and destruction of property, the sheriff confirms. We will be having a conversation with Ms. Harrington about her security team's activities. After the sheriff leaves, I sit with Jason and Sophia on the porch steps. The damaged play structure stands as visible evidence of the escalating conflict. Are we going to lose our farm? Sophia asks quietly. I put my arm around her shoulders. Absolutely not. What you saw today was not strength but desperation. Victoria has realized she cannot intimidate us into leaving. She does not know who she is dealing with, Jason adds with unexpected pride. She does not know our mom was a commander. For the first time in this conflict, I smile genuinely. No, she does not, but she is beginning to figure it out. The security cameras record 3 HOA vehicles passing slowly by our property that night, but none attempt to enter. Word has spread about the confrontation and the restraining order. Victoria's forces have temporarily retreated, but I maintain vigilance. This is not surrender but regrouping. The next move will likely come through legal channels rather than direct confrontation. I review our strategic position late into the night. Victoria has committed significant tactical errors, tampering with county records, directing security to destroy private property, violating a restraining order. Each action provides leverage for our countermeasures. The commander in me recognizes we have shifted from defensive to offensive positioning. Victoria believes she was dealing with an easy target. Instead, she has engaged with someone trained to convert aggression into vulnerability. The major confrontation has revealed not my weakness, but hers. The county courthouse steps provide the backdrop for justice 3 weeks later. Commissioner Alvarez announces the findings of their investigation to assembled media and community members. Victoria stands to one side with her attorney, expression carefully neutral despite the circumstances. The investigation into Oak Ridge Estates Homeowners Association has uncovered significant improprieties, Commissioner Alvarez states. Records were deliberately falsified to support unlawful boundary claims. HOA authority was misrepresented to harass property owners outside their jurisdiction. I stand among a group of homeowners whose properties had been similarly targeted. The Richardsons, who lost their orchard. Mrs. Gutierrez, forced to close her nursery. Elderly Mr. Peterson, who nearly sold his historic farmhouse under pressure. Several veterans in attendance wear subtle insignias of support. Victoria Harrington and two board members face charges for falsifying property documents and abusing HOA authority. The commissioner continues. The HOA will remain intact, but under temporary county supervision pending complete leadership replacement and bylaw reforms. Victoria avoids eye contact as she is served with formal charges. Her attorney hustles her toward a waiting car as reporters call questions. The development company connection has become public knowledge, destroying her credibility in both roles. Jacob approaches with documents requiring my signature. Your property has received formal exemption from any future boundary disputes, he explains. The county has established a permanent buffer zone between agricultural properties and HOA developments. The legal victory feels significant but incomplete until 3 days later when Victoria and her board members sign a formal settlement agreement. They admit wrongdoing, agree to pay for damages to my property, and resign from their positions. Most importantly, they acknowledge in writing that my farm remains fully independent from HOA jurisdiction in perpetuity. In the following weeks, my farm hosts weekend educational sessions for neighbors interested in sustainable gardening and raising chickens. Activities previously forbidden under HOA restrictions now draw enthusiastic participants from Oak Ridge estates. Many residents express relief at Victoria's departure, revealing they too felt oppressed by excessive regulations. The damaged play structure becomes a community project. Neighbors from both inside and outside the HOA boundaries help rebuild it, larger and sturdier than before. Mr. Peterson brings handcrafted wooden swings. The Gutierrez family contributes a slide. Even former HOA board members participate, eager to distance themselves from Victoria's tactics. An unexpected benefit emerges as developers recognize the value of having agricultural properties nearby. Rather than seeing my farm as an obstacle, they market new homes as adjacent to sustainable local farm with fresh produce access. My roadside stand business triples as community interest grows in locally sourced food. The interim HOA leadership, selected by community vote rather than developer appointment, establishes new bylaws protecting individual property rights. They invite me to consult on reasonable regulations that balance community aesthetics with personal freedom. The aggressive expansion plans are permanently shelved. Sophia's 4-H project, rebuilt after the destruction, wins first prize at the county fair. Jason starts a school gardening club tea. Hat partners with my farm for educational programs. My children, once uprooted repeatedly by military relocations, now stand firmly grounded in community connections. One evening, as sunset bathes our farm in amber light, I sit on the porch watching my children play with neighborhood friends on the rebuilt structure. The battle required different strategies than my military career, but the mission remained the same, protecting what matters most. Victoria's fundamental miscalculation was assuming I would retreat under pressure. She never understood that 20 years commanding naval operations prepared me precisely for this type of conflict. Not through aggression, but through strategic thinking. Not through force, but through principled resistance. She targeted a single mother without realizing she was engaging with a commander trained to defend against far more dangerous threats. The farm stands as testimony that true security sometimes means standing your ground against those who would take what is not rightfully theirs. The commander became a different kind of leader, not of armed forces, but of community rights, demonstrating that the principles of service extend far beyond military boundaries. In protecting my own family's sanctuary, I helped restore balance and justice for an entire community.